There are moments when a dog seems different, quieter, slower, and most people assume something is wrong with their behavior. Maybe they stop following you around the house. Maybe they ignore a toy they normally love. Maybe they lie down in another room and let out one long breath, so long it almost sounds human. And you might think, why is my dog acting weird? But the truth is, your dog may not be acting weird at all. It may not be stubbornness. It may not be laziness. It may not be bad behavior. Your dog may just be sad. And what most people do not realize is that sadness in dogs does not always show itself in dramatic ways. It does not always come with whining, barking, or obvious signs of distress. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like a dog who is still right beside you, but somehow feels far away. Because when dogs are hurting emotionally, they do not always know how to ask for comfort. So instead, they change. A sad dog may sleep more, not because they are tired, but because being awake feels empty. They may stop getting excited about the little routines that used to light them up, like the sound of the leash, the kitchen drawer opening, or your voice saying their favorite word. And this is where it gets deeper. Dogs are creatures of emotional patterns. They build their whole world around connection, routine, scent, tone, and presence. So when something shifts, your schedule, your energy, the home, another pet, or someone missing, they feel it far more deeply than most owners realize. Not because they understand life the way humans do, but because they feel absence in a way that is painfully pure. If someone they love suddenly disappears, your dog may keep checking the same familiar room. Not because they are confused, but because part of them is still hoping. They may sit near the door longer than usual. They may stare down the hallway after hearing a sound that is not really there. They may wait in places filled with a familiar scent, because for a dog, scent is memory. And that memory does not disappear just because the person does. But here is the saddest part. A lot of sadness in dogs gets mislabeled as disobedience. A dog who stops coming when called may not be ignoring you. They may be emotionally shutting down. A dog who suddenly becomes clingier may not be spoiled. They may be trying to make sure they do not lose you too. A dog who starts pacing, sighing, or resting their chin on you more often is not always asking for attention. Sometimes they are asking for reassurance. That quiet chin resting on your leg, it is not random. It is not just a habit. It is your dog reaching for the one being that makes the world feel safe. It is their way of saying, I do not know exactly what feels different, but I need to feel that you are still here. And sometimes that sadness is even harder to notice because the dog still eats, still goes outside, still gives a little wag of the tail. But a wag does not always mean joy. A routine that remains does not always mean peace remains too. Dogs can keep functioning while carrying something very heavy inside, just like people. What many people miss is that dogs grieve quietly. They absorb tension quietly. They feel loneliness quietly. If you have been more stressed, more distant, more distracted, or away from home more than usual lately, your dog has already noticed. Not because they are judging you, not because you have failed them, but because your emotional presence is part of their emotional survival. They listen to your footsteps. They memorize your rhythm. They read your face, your voice, even the speed of your movements. So when your energy changes, their world changes too. And no, that does not mean every quiet day means your dog is heartbroken. Sometimes dogs are simply resting. Sometimes they are just getting older. Sometimes they need space. But when the change feels soft and persistent, when your dog seems less like themselves, less bright, less connected, do not rush to correct the behavior. Look closer. Sit with them. Call them gently. Touch them in the places they trust most. Bring them back to familiar rituals. Take them on a slower walk. Stay on the floor with them a little longer. Let your presence say what words cannot. Because your dog does not always need you to fix their sadness. Sometimes they just need you to notice it. They need to feel that their silence still reaches you, that their small changes are not invisible, that when their heart grows heavy, the person they love most will not turn away. And maybe that is the deepest part of all. A sad dog is not trying to make your life harder. A sad dog is not broken. A sad dog is not being difficult. They are simply carrying a feeling they cannot explain, in a language most humans were never taught to hear. But once you learn to hear it, everything changes. Because that quiet dog lying a little farther away than usual, that dog who sighs before falling asleep, that dog who keeps looking toward the door, may not be asking to be left alone. They may be asking one heartbreaking question: are you still here? And when you answer that question, not with discipline, but with presence, you give your dog something even more powerful than comfort. You give them the feeling that even in their sadness, they are not alone.